Hey everybody, BTO Pro here, back with another hacks tutorial. I don't really know what to call it. It's not hacks, but we'll make it hacks capable. So today on Hacks the Web, what we're going to be looking at is taking someone else's element that they made, that they were inspired by a video game that recently finally came out. And we're going to take that element, we're going to convert it to lit element, kind of poke through some of the conventions it uses, which I think are interesting, and then mix in some of our color connotations, use WC Factory, all that fun stuff, so that we have a brand new remix of a remix. So it's back to normal, if you get the joke. Anyway, if you want to learn more about Hacks the Web, go to hackstheweb.org or join us on Slack at bit.ly/hackslack. So anyway, what our inspiration for today is from this tweet. So Matsu posted this cool web component. It worked up, and so this is what it is. So it's got this little demo, and you can write cyber-punk, and then I could say red, and it'll have these other options, right? So there's the red text. It can do fade in as an attribute, and it can do glitch. So it goes like that. So the code for this, it's a vanilla web component, right? So extends HTML element. Nothing crazy there. I do find this usage of static get attributes interesting. I haven't seen anyone else do this. So kind of using the way that lit element and some other projects mock up their properties, right? So they'll usually have like a static get properties, return, item, and then have some additional values with it or data types. It's interesting to me that all the defaults would theoretically be in one place here. You can see then in the constructor, we attach a shadow root. And then in the connected callback, which is when the element is placed on the page, that we set defaults. So going to set defaults, we can see it takes the attributes on this item, goes through the keys of the attributes, and then sets the default values. Now, this is clearly a factory function. Like this is something he uses for a whole bunch of other projects because there's only one default here, but I thought that was an interesting way of approaching this. I've done some similar things before with for each loops and just going through and setting values initially. Never thought to do it this way, though. That's a clever technique. So then we can see that there's a request render. And request render, I also thought this was interesting, does a request animation frame. So it's ensuring that it is able to render, like that there's nothing else blocking this from executing, or that it would slow down, the paint on like a phone or something like that might have a lower resource requirement. So when it gets an animation frame, like it's safe to load, right? The whole page is rendering and it's just hanging out. Then it goes, oh, I'll render this. So that, again, I think that's an interesting way of handling that. Then what the render function looks like is taking a template, right? So we definitely have to have a template, static get template, which is creating a template tag in HTML, and then injecting into it the styles, so static get styles, which then has our style block, and the HTML, which is super simplistic, and part of why I'm going to redo this is this. I don't need a paragraph wrapping that. So again, I thought this was really an interesting approach. I love the fact it has like scramble, and it has wait built in, and it has the doing the glitch, right? So like that. So let's see how we could use WC Factory, which is our tooling, in order to build this element the way you do it in lit element, or at least the way we would do it in the lit element. Let me be perfectly clear about that. So a lot of people would use OpenWC. We have our own tooling that just helps set things in motion, so that as we're building and deploying these at scale, like we have over 200 NPM repos that come off of our mono repo. So our big old mono repo is LRN Web Components. It's under Elms LN. And you can find all of our elements in the code I'll be working on today is going to be under here. So OpenWC is much more framed around a singular element, which is perfectly fine, or an application. And ours is around hundreds of singular elements. So we want all of them to be able to be worked on independent of one another. And the mono repo helps our team collaborate, make sure that when Nikki pushes up a new element or changes, we can easily merge it with mine, etc. So let's actually make something here. So I'm going to use the UI because I've been doing that lately. So I can fire up WCF UI. And you can see there's LRN web components. So it knows what my factories are that I have in here. And you can see there's a lot of them. And then at the bottom, it says element coming soon. No, it's not, because Michael Potter put that line there and I haven't updated it to actually run the command. So the way we make an element is we type WCF element, as it says to do with the command line. We pick our factory. I'm going to say this is lit element based, and the element's name. Now, I don't love the idea of it, in the DOM, it's cyber-punk. I don't want to actually put the name of a property, right? So let's do future t-text, right? So for like future, or maybe just future text, future terminal text, something like that, right? And this is to provide a futuristic terminal text type of environment. Okay, nope. We'll just say no for this because I actually undo part of our tooling for these demos specifically. So our tooling is going to go and make sure that it sits in line with everything else in the mono repo. Let's skip over to that here. All right, so it's getting mad because it's rebuilding itself. So let's wait until it adds itself. Okay, do a yarn install here. Okay, it's going to roam through all those repos. And the main thing that it's doing here, I'll fire up a VS Code instance. So the main thing it's doing here, all right, so let's type the word future. All right, so there is future terminal text. So the primary thing that WC Factory is doing in this case, let's zoom out a little bit, is it's creating these multiple files so that we can work within them independently. Now, this is an option if you've seen other videos that I actually go and undo almost immediately. This was like training wheels. I think it helps onboard people, so I'm still keeping it, but I might switch to more of a just make the thing work so I can start using it quickly. So future terminal text, I'm going to copy this. This is not the source copy. I'm going to delete these files. Again, this is just conventions, right? It says required for tooling. You can actually keep those separate, which is kind of nice, especially for initial onboarding. All right, so paste that in. So now I have my source to start with. Let's fire up the WCF UI again. All right, and now I should be able to type the word future. There we go, terminal text. Let's do start. Right, so this is just a shortcut in and management of the yarn commands in package.json there. So first I can fire it up. Woo, it's there. Have our boilerplate with our slotted content. Now, let's go and borrow the parts of this that we would want to translate over to lit element in this case. So what I'm going to do first, we're going to keep our render function as just the slot, to be perfectly honest. I don't want to do the paragraph wrapping part. So properties available. Okay, we don't have any super props at the moment, but we will. So let's do glitch and type boolean. Right, so this is similar to the static get attributes that was described previously. All right, and let's take, here we have, what else do we have? Red. Now that's something I'm actually gonna, I'll implement it the exact way this is implemented first, and then we're gonna remix it a bit, specifically around the color variable. So there's just gonna be a red, which is also a Boolean. There's glitch, and I believe it's fade in. So then under CSS, we're going to do that. Now, I'm not going to do a paragraph wrapping in here, right? What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to wrap it in a span because I want this to behave a lot more like it's just a term, right? It's just inline text. So you can do this with anything. I might actually even throw in more sarcasm just to see how the two play together. But so instead of targeting that, I can do span. Right. Okay. We can keep these other ones the same. In this, we're going to do display inline flex. Okay. so that the host tag itself is going to behave like a span tag, basically. It's just replicating a span tag. So instantly we'll go to this. Ooh, we already get the weird stuff going on with the text. Okay, so already starting to work because of some of the styling, right? Now, to do things like fade in and red in lit element, I have to do reflect true. So that'll make those available. Then the way we set defaults in this, we do this dot red equals false. This dot fade in equals false. And this dot glitch equals false. All right, so refreshes. Here we go. It's there already. Okay, so now let's put in a couple other demos. Okay, so that we can do that. All right, this will be red. And this one will be glitch fade in. Okay. And this is going to say Neo. Follow the white rabbit. Fresh. Ooh. So, zap. It's in place. Now, it hasn't done everything yet, right? It's kind of like fading in from where it is, which is a little weird. So, we need to also put in, I don't know what this watch, I've never seen that. There's the keyframes. Fade in as a paragraph tag. Wait, what's wait? Do glitch, got it. Okay, so we need do glitch, got it, okay, all right. So we need do glitch, scramble, and wait. I'm doing this in real time to figure out how this works. All right, so now we're going to throw in do glitch, scramble, and wait. And I see this from the way they put this together, right, as a dot watch. And the watch is that then you could decorate the attributes to be like, hey, notice that this changed and run a function or whatever, right? So there is some state management going on here, or, like just like hacky state management, because I couldn't actually go into the DOM and just put, blink or whatever, fade in, and it wouldn't do it retroactively, right? It's just when it's initially made, which is not a problem. It's just, this is the stuff that why people implement things like lit element is to get that total reactive data property binding. So we can see here when glitch, do glitch. So what I'm going to do, right, is we'll stick with the do glitch, but we're going to do this in a updated block, right? So here I'm going to say, and I have some examples put in here just to make my life easier when I go to do this. So let's get rid of that. Here's my computed example. So if any of these things change, right, in this case, it's just glitch. Actually, we'll just say prop name equals glitch and this prop name. Now, I know that looks a little weird potentially, but that's saying it's the equivalent of this dot glitch. So I do that a lot in case this variable would change. You don't have to go modifying it all over, additional places. So we're going to do the glitch effect, and we'll do this on our updated lifecycle. It's getting there. Okay, so that thing says glitch. It's still just kind of blinking, if we're to be perfectly honest. So let's look at what do glitch does. Do glitch is going to take the inner HTML and it's going to scramble it, right? It's going to run scramble. It's going to wait 60. And then it's going to put the text back in there. It's async. I'm doing the glitch. All right, we'll put in some variable to ensure that that's... No, it's not actually running. Because I put the word glitch instead of glitch. That's why I end up putting... There we go. Hey! Now, it is animating from the side. I don't really know why. That's a little weird. But let's not do fade in, and we'll just do glitch. Ah, there we go. All right. Now let's do fade in. That one's red and fade in, so they should both... There we go. That's a little better, right? Because now I'm doing inline. The original one didn't call for it. Like, it kind of fades in there. Neat. All right. So personally, I'd like it to glitch more. I do like the initial glitch. So scramble iteration count. Looks like it does it 10 times. I think scramble count. Oh, it does it based on the length of the text. So that's for the scrambling. What happens if we do like 600 milliseconds? You can slow the scrambling down significantly. That's kind of cool. All right, so let's do 60 milliseconds, right? So 0.1 seconds here, or almost 0.1. All right, so I like that effect. However, I kind of wanted to do it longer. Now, where would that be? That might be in the... All right, so it's flickering. Flickering runs over 300 milliseconds, right? And there's fade-in duration. Fade-in duration, which is set here. So what if we did like that? Let's see what that looks like. All right, so fade-in... more like 300. You don't even notice the fade in, but the flickering, maybe we actually go longer. Yep. Let's go with, we'll go closer to what it was. Okay, so we've got our span. We've got these properties on here, not attributes. And I want to increase the amount of scrambling. So I guess that's in scramble iteration count. So let's see if this number is actually random, right? 11, 2. All right, so it is random. Okay, 6. All right, so maybe instead of being out of 10, what if this was out of 100? So now we obviously have too much scrambling. We don't want quite that much. Or we want it to scramble faster, right? That one is a weird... All right. Now, what I think we would be better served doing here, right, would be this dot scramble max, right? Because we're doing a random number. And this would be this dot scramble max. And equals, and we'll start it at 20, because I actually like it doing it more than it was before. Now, I don't think we don't really care, right, in our template to do this. We don't need to listen for that for them to change, right? Whereas glitch, fade in, red, like these have to be documented in the property so that lit element can handle some of the event binding, getting some reaction to the fact that glitch changed, right? So it could run the glitch, reflecting these to the CSS equivalents. But I don't need that with Scramble Max. This could just be an internal thing that people set. Now, if I want people to be able to set it just by putting it in the HTML, this would be type string, or actually number. It'd be not reflect, but I want attribute because I don't like, this is one aspect I don't care for with lit element is I want it to convert the camel case to hyphen, just for consistency. That's the OCD part of me. Apparently requires that to be everywhere. So I'm going to have scramble max, and we'll have scramble duration, right? Duration. And we'll do duration. Okay. So then now we have this dot scramble max, and we'll have this dot scramble duration. And scramble duration, we will default to 60, right? And we said scramble max will default to 20. Okay. All right. So it's still a little. So what if we did like 20 and 20? So it actually remixed more faster. Oop, too fast. 40. Let's do 40 and 40. 30 and 40, right? You can kind of play with this to figure out what the best. There, you see, like that's the way. Personally, that's the way I like it. Is just like trying to get it timed somehow to be close to this whole dirt, right? It's 500 milliseconds for the fade in, right? So I want it to at the exact same pace that the rest of it happens. Now, it should be somewhat random. So scramble max, it would be good if there was, let's see, it's a floor. It always does +2, so that's your minimum. Interesting. So if we always said that the maximum is going to be 30, but the minimum is going to be 10, we'll always have at least some scrambling, which you could multiply and do 10, right, with the 30 for the duration because of how long it's going to wait. And that means a minimum amount of render time is going to be 300 milliseconds. Maximum amount of render time in this case, because it's random, is going to be 30. It's going to be 40 times 30, right? So 1.2 seconds. So then we'll set this more to like 20, right? So then we get, okay. You know, all right. It just does that when it shows up initially. Cool. Or does that when glitch changes. So let's see. Okay, so now let's take multiples and let's do Trinity. All right, and now we can do glitch duration equals, right, because that's our attribute name, or sorry, scramble duration, my bad, not glitch. I guess I should change that to be like this, right? So glitch max instead of scramble, because scramble doesn't make as much sense as glitch. And scramble duration. Okay, scramble can be just internal. All right, so now we'll say glitch duration. In this case, this one's going to be way more. Right, so you can see how absurd that is by comparison, right? So we'll make that one glitch less because the high is 20 on that one, right? And we'll do not fade in with that one, but fade in with this one. Now it's display, right? If I want terminal, right, I want it to space down. This is why I took the paragraph tag out, right? So you can actually do these tags next to each other. However, I want it to be more like this, right? So I want them to be line, 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 as if we had a terminal. Okay, and then let's take each, kind of illustrate that this will be random. Right now, it did look largely the same because of the fade in, right? And there's not a ton of variability in how they come across. So even though it's random, you almost don't get that effect that it's random. So if we slow down the glitching as a default, still, it's kind of hard to tell, right? I mean, it is random, but you don't fully get that effect from it. So what if we made this like 100 is the default glitch max? All right, so that's almost a little too much, right? So now if we made it more like 20 and we made glitch duration like 200, I feel like glitch duration is not actually being taken into account. Right? It feels like, I mean, this should take way longer. It should still be glitching. That doesn't make any sense. So that's interesting. Now I do have glitch duration of 10. Oh, I have it on as 10 on all of them. So let's do like this, right? If I take out the 10, the randomness of them will be a lot better. Idiot. There we go. All right. So you get your slower. Now we don't want it to be that slow. That's a little weird, right? So if we leave that at 20, it'll be super fast, right? But if we make this like 80 as the default, I think is around what it was before. All right, it's still too long. So if we did 50, glitch max is now 10. There we go. So you at least get the effect that it is glitching, right? Yeah, I kind of want you have to be able to perceive that it's glitching. Otherwise, the effect of it coming onto the screen is slightly less interesting. So now we have this working. Let's look at some ways we can remix this and enhance it even further. So I mentioned it has just a flag for red, or its default is turquoise kind of text. I don't really want that. So we have our own color library called Simple Colors. So we use it all the time, right? So now the way that Nikki would do that, and I only invoke Nikki in this case because she brought this pattern to us, is I would take something and go, oh, well, it's not going to use lit element. Now it's going to use simple colors. And she would look at it and go, yeah, what if you don't want to use simple colors though? And I'd go, then make your own code. So her paradigm, and I think she borrowed this from Polymer, is to take an element and go, oh, this is a paper button. And go, yeah, but maybe you don't want material UI. So instead it's paper button hyphen light, meaning it doesn't have, I think it was supposed to be more of a light DOM version, but the way we're leveraging it is a lot more like this doesn't have any connotations like our normal one does. She implemented this with our icons. They'll load faster when you don't mix in the color stuff, but you have less flexibility. So let's look at what that would be, how that would work. So if I took this lib folder, is usually the way I end up working on this. So if I said future terminal text light.js, and then what we'd end up doing a lot of times is we will take this and paste it in. All right, so we get all the same code we had before. We'll take that part out because it wasn't doing anything, right? There's future terminal text hyphen light. And okay, we define the custom element there. This is the same as it was. All right. And it's based on lit element. A lot of times, she'll also do this HTML element, right? Light. And then this would be, or actually, sorry, it's not even that. It would extend a super class, right? So we'd look, I like to borrow an example of what I already have for this. So be something more along the lines of this. Okay, so say super class, right? So this is not bound to anything. Now we're using it with lit element, so it's a little precarious to claim we're not binding it to anything, but basically are. So we've now got the housing of an element. So we've got, it's not const or class, it's const, right? And then we would take this, so we'll say super, Okay. Then we would take this and do class extends like this. Okay. And that would be the HTML element variation of this, right? Because it's mixing into it. Now, I'm not going to do that. You could do that theoretically with this abstraction of these pieces. So what I'm going to do instead is lit element. Then we're going to take the aspects of this tag and we're going to take the lit element connotations out of it. So you could kind of reverse engineer the guts of this, is the way that we end up breaking these things out. So, right, then I would have like future terminal text super.js. And literally all this has is that definition, right? It's going to have this constant exported. And then we're going to take out all the lit element guts from this, right? So it's just the default setting I like doing that way. We don't do the tag that way. Properties don't come from here, right? It's just kind of the wrapper to things, if you will. So another way that we can implement these things more nicely is static get styles, and then we take off CSS here, right? So we've got a super class that just is this, and we're going to do export const future terminal text light super. That's a mouthful. Then in here, we're going to do import from ./JS. Okay. And then we're going to take just the pieces of this that we need. So static get styles is going to be return CSS super.styles. Okay, do it like that. I like to do it as an array. You don't have to. And then actually this one will just return that object like that. We won't do it as. Okay, so this should not have any lit element stuff in it, but it won't really work. But we could use it as the base to make the original one, which is kind of the idea with these abstractions, the way we perform them. So, all right, pull the styles in here. Okay, so now we have styles. Then we need our render function and our properties, declarations, and our tag. Right, so take that. Okay, and we don't need any of those. Okay, and then we need our updated. All right, so we've got our updated life cycle in there. We've got our styles. Shadow styling convention. I like to doc block some of these, so it's a little easier for people that haven't read lit element before. All right, that's going to be the light tag. The light tag is that, and then we're going to export that. Okay. Oh, that still shows up somewhere. Oh, maybe not. Okay. So we take the super class, we mix it into lit element, then we sprinkle in the pieces we need. Then we're going to go into our original element here, and we are going to do import from ./lib/future terminal text -light.js. Okay, and now what we'll be able to do from here is we'll be able to do okay, we're going to get rid of all of these pieces at the moment, right? Because all those things are going to stay largely the same. And we're going to use this mixed into or on top of simple colors to get the final text one, which uses simple colors, which I got to pull in. So import simple colors from our web components, simple colors.js. Okay. So this way, and this is just like abstraction at times for abstraction's sake. Let's stop that process. do a yarn install because that has to fix some tooling issues associated with having a lib directory. So what this is going to do while that's rebuilding is, right, we've got our super class. So if you just want that functionality as in the original project and you want to mix it into an HTML element, maybe you want to mix it into a different class element, you can do that. Or we've leveraged it to make an addition of lit element that uses this. So it's the exact same API that we had before, but now it's lit element wired, right? So it's the lit element version. And now what we're working on is the default that we'll use, which is going to ship with simple color. So it has different color connotations than just being able to say red. So that is how that ends up working. Now, I do have to do some, and I don't love the fact that you have to do this, but I have to kind of check in these scenarios if this actually exists, right? So if we have this life cycle in place, then run the super class editions of it. That's going to be the same for the styles. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if that will work that way. I think I might have to do it more like static get base styles. And base styles is going to return to me an item, and I am then going to say base styles, or this.base styles. And then I'm going to have to do super.css like that and spread it, and then apply CSS to this base styles, which so that we're semi consistent with how, no, actually, I think it just, you pass that in because it'll be a string. So we have static get base styles. That should be built by now. Okay. So actually close down WC factory in this case. Yeah. So let's elements. This is future terminal text. I can just run it from here instead of having to do WC factory if I want to, right? So, all right, so we've got parts of this in place, not all there. So let's see what failed. Cannot invoke new without new. Okay, so we're saying extends this future terminal light part. Okay. All right, terminal, we export that class. This, all right, we pull in from the super class. We export it, right? This is going to wrap onto whatever the super class is in our instance. I don't think I need to do, I don't think you need to do that, but I'll put it in. Oh, you know what? That would be nice. Future terminal text, right? Otherwise, there's no tag there. All right. Class cannot be invoked without new. Again. That I'm not entirely sure what that is about. Because this is what we're importing the super, and then we're exporting this light variation. Shouldn't need that. I shouldn't have needed it before, but all right, class cannot be invoked without new. Why wouldn't it be able to be invoked without new? I don't. What if I just do extends that? All right, I think I see what that issue is. Yeah. So it's not a superclass. I can't wrap it in if it's not a superclass. So, okay, .css is not iterable. That's a better error. All right, so we get in here, and again, we're going to have to do that. If then, okay, let styles equals super.css styles 0 of undefined. Get styles CSS this space styles. See, that should be there. Undefined. Apparently it is not there. Oh, goodness. That's interesting. Did that. It's not a function. Yeah. So it's a little bizarre. I mean, it's right there. Cannot read style sheet of undefined. Undefined 23 get styles. What if we just took these as they are, copied them and threw them in here? And I'm pretty sure they would work, which is bizarre because that's not, Still claiming that's undefined. That is really weird. I'm not sure why it would say this is undefined. I mean, it's inheriting from it, so I'm... This is very interesting. I've never had an issue like this before. Of course, I've also never tried to keep that completely abstracted. Again, that is so weird that it says it can't get it. Now, let's see if it's static get style. Now I'm really just interested. So it's going to return that, static get styles, right? And then let's do super.styles here, right? It's still saying undefined. That is so bizarre that it would still say it's undefined. I mean, it's clearly there. I'm not getting punked, right? I mean, it's clearly there, and I'm pulling it in. Does it run at a later time? All right, that's a little weird. We'll just completely overwrite it again and do it this way. I'm not really sure what that's about. That is very strange. Okay, so if there's styles, then we'll pull them in. Oops. Spread them and pull them in. Very weird. So, that's cleaned up. That is not going to work that way, but I think Simple Colors has a super. It does have a super, so this is part of why we do it this way. Simple Colors has a super class, so I can take this, the light element, and I can mix in super colors. Simple Color super not definable if I export it, or import it rather. Okay. All right, so we're getting our glitching, but we're no longer getting the red. right? Or whatever the color is in this case. So we've got our styles. We are not pulling those in apparently. Console.log styles. Right, and if I inspect and we look at, right, it says color is gray. Yeah, let's say I don't think it's respecting those, but we do have these additional properties in here, and that could be what the issue is I believe, oh no, there's super properties. So it still has glitch and things like that, but now red doesn't really mean as much in that version, but it is still there. So we can see that this is going to export a whole bunch of CSS selectors here. It's going to mix in dark and accent color, which we can then leverage. And it's also got colors that it has access to. So this is our consistent color set. Lets us do contrast ratios, things like that, much more easily. So we can take, right, that's mixed in there. I'm going to have to look at these styles because it's a little weird that it didn't actually keep the originals. Yeah, no. I'm also going to need to put light on here. Right, and then we can import lib/text light. And we'll have the light variations, and we'll have the simple color variation. Okay, so there's the original, right, with its colors working. And then we've got our styles, which are goofed up. Okay. I think that's how I've done that before, actually. Now I'm going to have to look for other examples. It's very weird. I've never, shouldn't say never, but I haven't really had this issue. All right, so there's an intersection observer mixed into simple colors in this case. And then I'm always spreading out whatever the previous one was. And you can see here, there's a ton of mixins all together, cascading down. Now these ones always mix into simple colors as a base. Let's see if I have any using the super. I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah, so there it is right there. And then this one brings in the styles from before it. Because if I'm in this one, oh, perhaps that's the issue. I see. So if super.styles, all right, so we'll have to do something like this. Let styles equal. A little weird, but then, okay, so styles equals super.styles. Let's see if that, goodness. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Styles is not iterable. Well, just like that. Still, styles is not iterable. Oh, this is downstream, I guess, that this is throwing this error now. Because it should just be like that. I'm almost positive. Let's see what that does. Styles is not iterable, line 24. Oh, I see. All right, so we at least got that back. Happens there. So we've got two CSS results there. Okay. So you can see font weight is now bold, which is supposed to be. All right, so we're getting closer. So, all right, so this is part, honestly, this is part of why I do these abstractions. I do this, partly I do this live code to show you, like, we make a lot of mistakes too. However, I just found an API inconsistency in the way that we're handling our color library, right? Because I should be able to have done this. So I'll have to go into some colors.js here. We're using Mixin here. Lovely. With this shared styles thing. Ugh. And that's where that comes from, which would be why I'm having issues with it, is because it was tooling generated in this case. So if I look for tooling generated version here, we can see that it has some shared styles connotations to it. And I believe in package.json, shared styles. Now, other things, I believe I have shared styles. This is a weird in the weeds convention of our tooling that solves. So you can see I have super.styles in these other instances. So if I do, let's see if that fixes it at the tooling level, which is a little weird, right? But okay, so what to do here? Start. And now I'm going to have to test that these things still work, right? So I can, still go and inspect. And now I get styles are not iterable. So this is the funness now, isn't it? So I'm going to take out that super.styles part. And we are just going to have to do that little code block from before. And now we're going to have to restart the tooling since that's a tooling level change. We need connection refused. Nice. Okay. Doesn't care for my just adding this manually to the file. Because I have that there. I see. I think that'll fix it. Demo. That wasn't some Chrome extension I have. Okay. It's like, what is going on here? All right, so simple colors is back to normal. And now this still has its bold, which means it pulled that stuff across. So accent color. Now we need to be able to get the color correctly set on these items. All right, we can see that, yeah, the host has font weight bold. Now I'm seeing that because I inherited this other class, I've lost my span wrapper. Whoops. So that would also be something in simple colors, actually, because simple colors, when you use it as mix-in, I believe is going to have a slot predefined for, oh, maybe it doesn't. Okay. No. Yeah. Right here. Slot predefined. Okay. So again, another tooling level consideration here is when we output this and we ingest it, it's going to actually, if we look at this file, it's going to have slot there like this, right? So what I'm going to have to do, because that hijacks previous render function, is We are going to defer to simple colors there. We are going to have to go back to our future terminal text and actually say, hey, you are supposed to have a span wrap in you. Okay. HTML is not defined. That's because I didn't pull it in. So that's an easy fix. Okay. There we go. All right. So now we get our original connotation of those things. Whoop-de-doo. So now we can add in the other variables that this supplies, because it supplies a light and a dark. And so the way we can leverage those is static get styles. And we are now going to return, I know this has an iterable / styles. It has to. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had all the issues we just had. And then in here, we're going to do host span. I don't even need a host, but we'll do span, and then we will do color variable. And the variable in question is going to be, if we look at our inspect the CSS, see, it's got all this stuff, right? So we're going to do symbol colors accent color 12. Otherwise, we're going to say it is, or actually, we'll just do inherit. So if you use this. All right, so we see it's much darker here now, right? So now what happens if we take this and we say accent color is yellow, and then we do dark. Really? That didn't change anything? I feel like it was supposed to. No, it is influencing it. It's just, oh, it's fixed. Because it's, I see. So it has to be default theme. My bad. Forgot about our naming convention. Default theme. And in this case, we'll say 11, so you can even bother to tell that it's changed. All right. And now we'll take one of these, and we're going to make it blue. Barely can tell. Now we'll make it dark mode. There we go. So now we can see it's actually reacting to it. So instead of it being 12, let's make it like 8, I think is enough of a contrast ratio that we can tell. Okay, so the default is gray. Now we're going to go in, we're going to do constructor super, whoops, and then we're going to do this dot accent color equals green. So we'll make the default green instead of what it was, right? And the default, as we saw before, right, with this one, without our color connotations in place, it is this hex color, right? So it's kind of like an aqua. I don't think we have an aqua, but so the default is then green for this text. Yes, we do still get our red terminal text there, right? But if I get rid of that red as a flag and I instead say red for accent color, we can achieve the same thing. So now we can use accent color instead of the other API, but yet we still have the original API in place as far as what we can leverage. So I hope this was somewhat interesting to at least see me failing miserably over and over again. This is a bit of what we do with our code base. As far as abstraction, I thought this would be a good example of when and how we do that abstraction. I don't want it to be red because red's taking place. There we see. So we got orange, and I say dark, which will make it lighter because that means a dark background. So this is a bit of the way that we end up operating with this, right? Is taking those abstractions, we do them in vanilla or like a semi-vanilla state, and then we implement them as a light class, right, which has lit element, and then we go, we want our color palette, because the color palette is what we leverage across all of our portfolio. So I hope this was interesting. I'll publish this code up Love this demo initially by Matsu. So congrats to him on that. It's a nice thing for me to riff over. So look for the code to be up in the mono repo, provide links. If you want to get involved or learn more about our projects and our web components we're working on, if you go to bit.ly/hackslack, that'll get you in. Or if you go to youtube.com/btopro, you can see more videos like this. Catch you later.